Hello, welcome to another episode of the Millennial Mogul Mindset podcast. Today we are here on set at another $1.8 million home in Palm Beach Gardens, and we'll also be interviewing George Anthony.
What up, world? Hello.
So George is an entrepreneur, world traveler, and a mentor. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing outstanding. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. So today I know we wanted to share with the world exactly what your profession is and how you decided to take massive action in your career so that you can see results in your life.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how you started to travel and kind of what your background is.
Well, I've been in law enforcement for the past 19 years. And it came to a point in my career to where I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I felt stuck. I wasn't out growing. So about 3.5, 4 years ago, I decided to go out and become a pilot. And I just made that decision based upon, I always wanted to fly. So let me take this opportunity to go get it. Taking that initiative, learning how to fly, taking off, being in the air, the freedom of soaring 5,500 feet, 8,500 feet above the earth, it gives you a new perspective on how to view things, how to view life. It's not like flying in a commercial airplane. You know, you're a bit lower, you can see everything. And I wanted to start experiencing those type of things more frequently. And being in my profession, some have that mentality of that mindset that we have to be stuck here and only experience a few things up until you hit that point of when you retire. Again, I'm in law enforcement. Our life expectancy after we retire at 52 is 4 or 5 years, you know, because of the stressors and the things we see. And when you're not experiencing that, your body drops back down to what's going on. And a lot of us don't last 10, 15 years. So how are you really going to enjoy your life? I was in my 40s. I'm still in my 40s. Why can't we enjoy our life now? So that led me down to start seeing the world and brought me to the point where I'm at now.
Awesome. And so when it comes to your entrepreneurial journey, what was the one thing that triggered you to think I should go big and become an entrepreneur and not just stay in law enforcement?
Well, I had a friend, I always saw him on Facebook and social media traveling, a couple friends. And I'm like, man, you know, what is it that you're doing? You know, how are you going these different places? Because I was seeing him in 3 or 4 different places, you know, within the year, not, you know, Orlando or, you know, the normal places that we see people going, but exotic places, Dubai, you know, Bali, Hawaii, you know, all these places that people think that you have to have this exorbitant amount of money to go. So I reached out to him, and he told me about this vacation club that he belonged to and how it allows people to travel on a shoestring budget. I took a look at it, and I just had an epiphany. I'm like, this is it. You know, it made sense to me. Most people want to travel. But the reason why they don't is because they feel they don't have enough money to travel. This provided me an outlet that I can show people how to travel the world on the current budget that you're at and create those life experiences that all of us want to have with our family, friends, and carry it out, you know, through the rest of your life.
I agree with that. And so for anyone that's interested in becoming an entrepreneur, what do you think the biggest obstacle was for you to start your journey?
Well, you know what? Sitting here, I think it's just an omen right now that we're having, where it says first man on the moon. JFK, back in the late 50s, early 60s, when he gave his speech, he says there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And I think that is why most people don't take that risk, don't take that leap because of fear. And the acronym I use is false evidence appearing real. So when it comes down to it, you know, it's our own imaginations, the figments our beliefs that keep us from going out, taking a risk, or calculated risk, or achieving our dreams, or doing the things that we have passion in because we've been conditioned to stay in this box.
Right.
So we have to step outside that box and decide, make a decision. I want to do something different. And that's what I decided to do.
So what were some of the tools that help you overcome fear?
First of all, you have to start developing yourself. You have to read books that make you reach and expand your skill set and knowledge, like Think and Grow Rich, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that lets you look at finances to a different way. You know, we're all conditioned, this is George's opinion, to go to school, work. Well, when we graduate from school, we have three things: develop a skill, go to the military, or go to college. That's what we're conditioned to do. And once we get out of those three things, we go into a profession for the next 25 or 30 years. And, you know, most people have said, you hear this saying that goes around that most people die at 25 but get buried at 65. And that's, I wish I would have had this mindset when I was in my 20s, rather than developing and expanding myself in my 40s, because my life experiences, my kids, will be different than what it is right now. Well, not saying that it's bad right now, but just saying that, you know, knowing that if you want to change your situation or change your lifestyle or do something different, it's up to us. You know, we don't have to be in this box and be complacent and just settle for the way things are. We can change it.
Right. So for people who are also starting their journey, what do you think is a great habit the entrepreneur should have to gain success?
Well, I think it comes down to just one big one, and that's making a decision. Once you make that decision, follow through, take massive action. I have another saying. You're going to have me making these little sayings all through this.
Some maxims.
Yes, Georgisms. You know?
Yes.
It's ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice. Simply saying that, you know, we learn through failure. So it is just about taking that step and going and moving forward, setting little micro goals that you start achieving. That's what most people don't do. You know, they go out and they set this big goal, like, oh, you know what? When it comes to working out, I want to lose 50 pounds. You know, and they go to the gym and they don't see the 50 pounds fall off in a week or so. And you know what? They stop. That's where all these New Year's resolutions come in at the beginning of the year. You see everybody in the gym the first 2 weeks in January, go back the third week, it's empty. And it's because we don't set micro goals. You know, instead of saying I want to get, that may be the big goal of getting to 50 pounds. But you know what? The first thing I'm going to start doing, I'm going to cut out soda. I'm going to go walk for 5 minutes each day. All right, next day I hit that goal. I'm going to go walk for 15 minutes. And then the walking turn in, I'm going to run or jog for 5 minutes. So you start building that confidence and creating, having your brain, neurons that fire together, wire together. So you start creating habits that are replacing the old habits that will help you move forward. So you set little micro goals, achieve those micro goals, and will build into your short-term goals. Micro goals for your short-term goals will build into your medium goals. Micro goals for your medium goals will build into your long-term goals. And you continue moving forward.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And there's a lot of people watching that are also transitioning from their 9 to 5 and dreaming of having a business or becoming an entrepreneur. Let's talk about some of the benefits that entrepreneurs gain because they're taking that leap.
Yes. Well, I can tell you the first benefit that any entrepreneur, small business owner will gain will be tax benefits. This new tax code that we have that was passed by our president, simply, it shows that this year, if you want more of a tax return, you have to be a 1099 worker. He's an entrepreneur himself. So he wants to start pushing small businesses into our country and have people start small businesses, because small businesses is what drives our economy. So that's why you get more tax breaks. That's the biggest thing. Tax breaks, you can write off a lot of things, get yourself a good accountant. Third is time freedom. You know, we go to work 9 to 5 and we have to be there. We have to ask for days off. when you start taking out a little chunk of time and working on something of your own, and you can build a secondary source of income, you don't have to be at this job to work the overtime. You don't have to be here to take time away from your family. It's about time freedom. That's what really got to me when it came to starting my own business is one, the time freedom that I'm creating for myself to be able to create more experiences with my family, with my kids. And second, growth. You know, again, like I mentioned before, I felt that I was stuck. I felt that I was stagnant. Even though, I like challenges. Even though I'm a person, I have a bachelor's degree, I have a master's degree. That next challenge for me was to get my pilot's license. And when you start getting that hunger for knowledge, then that light switch goes on. You continue to want to absorb every other thing that you can to continue to grow. Growth, in my opinion, is the key to life. If you're not growing, you're withering away.
That's a good point. So before you mentioned that when you became a pilot, there was a sense of freedom when you were soaring and had that experience in the air. So can you explain how that also segued into you becoming a world traveler?
Well, the funny thing is, I tell you about my first solo. The funny thing is that, here I am, a 38, 39-year-old man, and my flight instructor with this 21-year-old kid, I've been flying, and he was trying to push me to take my first solo, my first solo landings. Because after you do your 3 landings, that's when you can fly off and do your cross countries, and you start to, expand, really navigating with the airplane, before you just flying around the airport and practice field. So we're up in the air and we're flying, and he gives me an engine out procedure. I didn't see him. He pulls back the fuel, and the engine starts to sputter, and we're on the downwind. And he was like, "Okay, what are you gonna do?" So you have to go through the whole engine out procedures. The fuel pump on, check the fuel, increase the fuel flow, and okay, nothing's working. So what are you gonna do? So you have to shorten up the downwind, turn towards final and base and final, and line the airplane up and land. So I went through the emergency procedure. I was able to land the airplane. He says, "Okay, taxi over to the FBO." He says, "All right, you're ready." And he just jumped out the airplane.
No way.
He jumped out the airplane, shut the door on me. He says, "I'm getting tired of this, George. You need to stop, procrastinating. Go fly the airplane."
Wow.
So I'm sitting there, I do my calls, leave the FBO. I get over, do the run up on the airplane, check for any incoming airplane on final, and I take off.
Wow.
I'm taking off, and I'm like, man, I'm in this thing by myself. You feel all this exhilaration, the anxiety, your heart pumping, the adrenaline, and you get up, and then I realize, you know what? I'm doing the same exact thing that I was doing. He was sitting next to me. It's just he isn't here. He isn't here right now, but it's the same thing, So I get up, turn crosswind, make my calls, turn downwind, turn base, and come in for my landing. And you only need to do 3. But it got so exciting. I'm like, I did about 10 or 15. And he finally had to get on the radio. "All right, George, you can come in now." But when that happened, it just made me look at, just the freedom of going up in the airplane and being able to call up and say, "Hey, you know what? I want to go to the Bahamas this week." And not have to worry about calling in or booking a trip, looking at the best time to fly over, or paying for an airline ticket. That's just, it's available? Okay, I'm flying over to the Bahamas. Or, I want to fly down over to Fort Myers, or, here in Florida, or Naples, or something like that. It's freedom, having the ability to up and go when you want. And that opened me up to, okay, why am I waiting to go see Paris? Why am I waiting to go to Spain? Why am I waiting to experience these different things that I've only seen in a history book that I can go over and see? And that is when I started looking for these things that, when it comes to manifestation, I've been seeing the whole traveling when it came to my friends, and that's when I finally made the call. What is this you're doing?
Right. So tell us a little bit about that, opportunity for you. Where did you start and what trips did you take?
Well, I called up my friend. I asked him, I'm like, hey, man, what is this thing that you're doing? He had a little blue sign, you should be here and stuff like that. Every time he would go somewhere, he was like, oh, it's a travel club that I belong to. All right, well, tell me a little bit about it. He said, better yet, I'll send you a video. And as soon as I saw the video and how it explained that there's a travel portion, there's a possibility to make money from it as well. The most important thing at that time for me was just traveling. I didn't really, the business side of it was the business side of it, but I wanted to travel. So the first trip that I took was to Paris. And it was in January of 2017. And my wife and I at the time paid $625.
Wow.
That's for the both of us.
Wow.
To go over to Paris, 6 days, 5 nights, that $625 included our excursions.
Wow.
To the Louvre, to Paris Disney.
Oh, wow.
And the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, that's amazing.
So when I saw that and we went on, and the Louvre, just the exhilaration of being in Paris and going to the Louvre. I would go into the Louvre and I'm thinking, hey, the Mona Lisa's here. Oh, let's go see the Mona Lisa. And I've only seen it in a book.
Wow.
And when I finally got there, I'm thinking I'm going to see this big, huge portrait of this famous painting. And it was smaller than the picture on the wall. They had all this roping around it that you couldn't get too close, because I don't know if you know the history of the Mona Lisa. People have tried to destroy it.
Wow.
About 15 or 20 different times.
Okay.
Bulletproof glass in front of it, because I think back in the 70s somebody tried to shoot through it. So people have tried to destroy it several times. So you can't even get close to it. You're about 20, 30 feet away.
Wow.
But it was just seeing something that I've only seen in a book makes you realize, man, just the experience.
Yeah.
It was just kind of overwhelming. And as you're walking around Venus de Milo statue,
Yeah.
I'm standing in front of Venus de Milo, and again, something else that I've only seen in a book. And now I can look at how detailed the carving is on it, and it really makes you open up and look at the world differently, and that's what started building the just wanting to travel,
The desire,
and take in more of this world that we have around, that most of us never leave the 4 or 5 blocks that we grew up in, when there's more to see out here, the culture, and it's about growth.
I agree. And I think that's amazing that, like you said, a lot of the things you've seen in textbooks, you have finally had that opportunity to be in proximity of. And you said that the company has these trips. Are they like a certain package?
Yeah, they have different type of trips. The core trip is dream trips.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about that is that when we were in Paris, we met several different people that came from across the world. And one of them was this guy, a Japanese guy. And, they had a karaoke bar downstairs in the hotel. So I'm sitting here and I'm listening to, a guy from Japan singing "Old Johnny Boy." Old Johnny Boy. And, just the experience of that, of different people from different parts of the world that are there getting to know each other. And it really didn't matter, what color you were, how you looked, what economic status you were. It was just a group of people enjoying, being around each other, developing new friendships, and experiencing the sights. And that's one thing that this company offers if that's something you want to bring into your life.
Right. So Dream Trips is a great way not only to enjoy excursions with your family and friends, but then you get to meet other families and friends that are also enjoying the same trip.
Same like-minded people that are there trying to experience the same thing that you're experiencing, building not only friendships that last throughout the, over a period of time, but also creating experiences.
So tell us about some other trips that they offer.
Yeah, well, I went to that same year, a month and a half later, we went to Madrid, Spain. and paid $375 for the both of us to go to Madrid, Spain.
Wow.
And while in Madrid, Spain, you know, they have a restaurant there that's like 300 and some years old. It's one of the oldest restaurants on the face of the earth. So when you're walking in there, you know, just the history of time, you have little indentations in the stairs where people over the, you know, years going up and down the stairs, you could really see how small people were. You know, the hallway going up so very small. You know, I want to say a big guy, but you know, a nice sized guy. You have to turn and you know, walk. But the food there was delicious. It was just the history, and what it made me realize as well is that being from America, we're still babies compared to the rest of the world. You know, they have things that are there that's over 1,000 years old. You know, look at you know, the unfortunate experience of Notre Dame. You know, when we were in Paris, I got pictures standing in front of that church.
Wow.
On the inside of the church. So, you know, when you start seeing history, so much true history, you know, it really makes you think that, you know, man, you know, yeah, I know I'm American, but, you know, yes, we have our own history, but we're babies, you know, compared to the rest of the world. But we have other trips. You know, I just had a friend that went to, did 10 days in Dubai and Cairo, Egypt, 5 days in each one. And that came out to less than $1,500 for 10 days. So it's, like I said, it's all about being able to travel on a shoestring budget and giving people the ability to see the world now. And getting them outside their comfort zone. That's the only way we can grow as people, grow as cultures, as a culture. And when it comes to our kids, expanding our kids' reach and outlook instead of keeping it bottlenecked into something that, hey, you know, this is my corner, this is where, you know, the school I go to. You know, let's reach out, let's travel, let's see the world, let's see the beautiful beaches in Bali. And that's the next place I want to go. I'm planning a trip there this summer. It's about $450 right now. You guys can get in touch with me. You want to know more.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
So, it's just about experiencing those things, creating memories. And, you know, I don't want to seem too morbid, but, you know, when it comes to, you know, when we pass away, we have a date that we're born and a date that we die. And what counts is that dash in between, the experiences that we create, the memories, our family, the legacies we leave. And that's the most important thing. That's what made me pick up the business side, is leaving a legacy for my kids. You know, my retirement that I have right now, it's my retirement. I can't leave that to my kids. But my business that I'm working, I can leave that to them. And that's what this is all about, creating generational wealth.
So for dream trips, as you mentioned, it's all about expansion and expanding your horizons, your point of view, and of course, what you're able to experience being in different spaces. But with the business side, that also expands your reach as an influencer, as a leader. So tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, you know, again, like I mentioned before, I'm in law enforcement. I've been a supervisor for the past 12, 13 years. And what I had to learn is that supervising someone in work and trying to mentor them to learn a task is totally different than developing someone in their entrepreneurial mindset in the business side. Because what we don't do at work, we don't have, or we're not given the opportunity to develop ourselves. You know, we learn how to perform a task. Law enforcement, I learned how to clear a building. I learned how to tactically affect a traffic stop and arrest someone. But that's not building me. It's not building my mind. So what you have to learn when it comes to becoming an entrepreneur is to build your mind, continue to learn, continue to acquire knowledge. Because that's what's going to stop you. You have to have perseverance. Most people get into business, or most businesses fail because you have individuals that encounter obstacles, and once they hit that obstacle, they look at, they start using "I can't," self-limiting talk that stops the brain from coming up with any type of solutions. Entrepreneurs, they look at it, okay, what can I learn from this obstacle? How can I grow from this obstacle to make sure it doesn't happen again? What solutions I can come up with? If they look at a problem, how can I create something that can circumvent this issue? And that's the type of things we have to get into. We have to develop ourselves when it comes to listening to personal development individuals like Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Tim Robbins, if there's individuals you listen to, Grant Cardone. I just went to his 10X conference and it was amazing a few months ago.
We both did.
So you have to continue to listen to these people. And I'm going to tell you this right here, your family members, your best friends, especially when it comes to doing this type of business, they're going to be your biggest haters. They're going to be your biggest critics, because network marketing has a negative labeling and connotation attached to it. But statistically, it's one of the only professions that you can get into that creates first-time millionaires with a little bit of money. Brings me to my next point. Most people are not successful at this business because of the little bit of money that they put down. So you have to look at this business just like you're going out, taking out a $50,000 loan or a $100,000 loan for a brick and mortar business, that you treat it like $1 million business, it's going to pay you like $1 million business. You treat it like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby. And that's what happened. Most people put a little bit of money down and they just look at it as a hobby. And you have to make that decision, if you believe in this, that this is what's going to set me and create and be able to create a secondary income that I can get my family financially free.
Exactly.
So you have to start developing that type of mindset. And I believe in the 80-20 rule. The majority of people that you come in contact with, 20% of the people are going to do 80% of your work. So you got to find those individuals. You have to find that 20%. And that comes from learning how to speak with people, learning how to not attach emotional outcomes to someone telling you no. Hey, no one's ever died for being told no. And that's the biggest issue. People don't like being told no. People don't like being turned down. They take it to heart instead of just, all right, you know what, I got to go through these no's to get to my yeses. And that's the mentality that you have to have with this business. But I tell you this, going into this, it was one of my best decisions I ever made because it helped me develop me, both personally, professionally, and spiritually. Because it gets you back grounded. It gets you into, meditating, manifesting the things that you want. These are things that I never truly thought about up until I got into network marketing. It taught me how to go look for these things. Listening to my friend just told me about this here, neural beats. They get your brain functioning at a higher level so you can focus on the tasks that you need to focus on. These are things that I really never thought about until I got into this type of profession. So you have to build yourself in order to build other people, in order to build this business.
100%. And I've been a part of George's expansion journey, and he's definitely evolved so much being in this industry, as well as educating himself every day so that he's the best version of himself. So for the next question, what is a quote that you live by now that you're in this profession?
It's a quote that I came up with. You have to change your mindset to change your situation.
Well, you heard it from him. And the last question would be, what are the 3 best aspects of building a business in World Ventures?
Well, like their business model goes, fun, freedom, and fulfillment. Those are the 3 best aspects. Who wouldn't want to travel and see the world and make money while you're doing it? It's a win-win.
Perfect. So if you guys are interested in traveling the world with George and joining his Team All Action crew, you guys can check out his website where?
TeamAllAction.com.
And that website is a great way for you to give George your contact information, as well as watch a live webinar on exactly what the business is and how you can not only travel the world and have amazing dream trips, but become a leader in your community by building a team. So make sure you guys follow George Anthony on his platforms. We have George Anthony on Facebook, as well as Big G Anthony the third. on Facebook and on Instagram.
And on this.
Yes. And make sure you guys follow him on all those platforms because like he said, he's expanding and the journey is going to be ever growing. So thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of the Millennial Mogul Mindset Podcast. And we'll see you at the next episode. Bye, guys.
Later, world.